It's the lesson plan of a lifetime.
To make this successful, we need a collaboration.
As COVID-19 forces a seismic shift in the way schools operate, some students will go back to classrooms.
But hundreds of thousands of North Texas families need a crash course in learning at home.
Of course, I want them to go out and see their friends, but at this point, it's just what is safest for everyone.
For kids like 6-year-old twins, Ethan and Lucas from Frisco.
We like homeschool best. I'm not very excited.
Virtual school's a complicated equation that the boys and their dads, Joe and Jason, are all trying to solve.
We're still learning what that really looks like. With the continued rising in cases, we just didn't feel that it was safe yet. Last spring was super tough. We were forced to be at-home parents, at-home teachers, at-home counselors, and it was stressful, it was challenging, and a new respect for our teachers.
Tonight, NBC5 explores the creative solutions emerging in North Texas.
It gives us as teachers an opportunity to reimagine what we could do going forward.
We'll take a hard look at the major challenges schools won't be able to solve in time.
It's a big problem.
We'll teach you the best ways to set your student up for success.
This can't be handled by school districts by themselves.
And welcome to NBC5's Lesson Plan Learning at Home. And just like a lot of you, Wayne and I are juggling working from home while getting our families ready for school, which is going to look a lot different this year.
So I'm here in what used to be my kids' playroom, a room filled with toys they didn't play with much anymore. I've converted it into a classroom, and based on how hard it was to find office furniture, a lot of you are doing the same thing. School districts have told us that more than half of their students, in most cases, are doing virtual learning rather than in-person learning. And they've also told us that the fall will look nothing like it did in the spring when it comes to at-home learning. So we decided to check it out.
Just make sure that you have all your supplies that you need.
These students are busy brainstorming the launch of Hot Pops.
We sell popcorn, and we think it's going to be better than everybody else's.
Now, before you worry about the lack of masks, we visited this business class back in 2018 over in Arlington ISD. It's where students have to plan and run their own business and figure out a way to make money. This class we visited back then is very similar to one Chandra Cootie is planning to teach virtually right now at Cedar Hill High School.
They generally love coming to our classes because it's very hands-on.
She's been parked in front of the computer trying to figure out a way to make it work virtually.
So I've always been in business, and I've had colleagues and clients that haven't even been in this country, and we still have to connect, we still have to engage and train, and so I think it actually allows them to have a more real-world experience.
Teachers across the area have been busy adapting the tried and true lesson plans they've taught year after year to a virtual environment.
We currently have 1,800 teachers in Keller registered on their own time.
In Keller ISD, Sarah Kapowski has been working 15-hour days throughout the pandemic, making sure they have a platform up and running that makes at-home learning run smoothly. Do you feel good about it?
I better feel good about it. Yes, yes I do.
Keller took us under the hood to get a sneak peek at what the program looks like. And right off the bat, it's something they're proud of.
We wanted something very familiar. And so when we can, all of us are used to using the iPads or the iPhones and apps and folders. So when we looked at this and saw that it was very similar, we thought that would be a very familiar experience for anybody to use.
The district wanted to streamline the process to get online. No more bookmarks stored in your web browser with a million different logins. They felt one simple, easy-to-use system was step one. The teachers have been getting a crash course on how to inspire students to dive in. And over in Cedar Hill, Chandra Cootie says she's excited to take a class normally centered around being huddled together in small groups, working in every nook and cranny of the building, well, shaking it up a bit.
I think that it gives us as teachers an opportunity to reimagine what we could do going forward.
And Keller ISD knows how eager everyone is to see how this works. So Bianca, they flipped the switch on that program for us tonight. Parents can go check it out live. You can access it through your child's normal online login. Just look for a new icon. It's called My Backpack.
A lot of parents can appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, finding the right learn-at-home setup for your kids could be their formula for success, and there are some simple solutions. First, give your child a say in their schooling space. Find a quiet spot away from stuff like the TV. Some parents have pointed out that chairs that swivel or move distracted their younger kids. Children's Health says to designate a couple different workspace areas to give them a chance to go ahead and move around a little bit. Of course, a lot of schools made sure that every child has some sort of digital device, but Wayne, internet access is a whole different story.
So school districts ran out and bought these wireless hotspots. They let you connect your computer to this little box, which then connects it to a cell phone tower. They're expensive, they're slow, they're not really a long-term solution. And after a series of reports that NBC5 did this spring, a statewide task force was formed to find something better than this. Tonight we check in.
How many you need?
It was a problem that just seemed unfixable.
Yeah, I need one for my daughter for school.
Thousands upon thousands of families with no way to connect to the internet, using cell phones or free Wi-Fi at fast food restaurants as the only way to educate their kids from home.
It's a big problem. The new have-nots are the people that don't have connectivity.
UNT Denton education professor Stephen Waddell's a former superintendent in both Birdville and Louisville.
Before 2011. I was talking with telephone and internet provider companies as well as Cisco to talk about putting connectivity umbrellas all across the district.
What he talked about more than a decade ago and seemed so tough to make happen is actually up and running. Castleberry ISD, one of literally a handful of districts across the country that erected cell towers on school property to connect all their students to the internet.
So everybody's learning from each other on how to solve this problem.
Dallas ISD Superintendent Michael Hinojosa first heard about Castleberry's towers by watching NBC5. DISD already has cell towers on their school sites, but didn't use them for their students. They allowed wireless companies like AT&T to put up the towers to have better cell service for their customers. Some Dallas city leaders want the Dallas-based communications company to give back.
It is a shame that the city that hosts the largest communications company in the world, AT&T, the largest communications company in the world, has a digital divide like we do in this city.
Dr. Hinojosa says cut AT&T a break.
AT&T has met with my staff almost on a bi-weekly basis, and it's some of the senior people at AT&T that are meeting with my team.
Hinojosa first announced a statewide initiative between private and public companies to get internet access in the hands of all students.
We got to find win-win solutions. You know, we're all in this game together. You know, they need to be able to make money. We have no argument with that. But, you know, let's see how we can all compromise.
Hinojosa wants a cell network just like Castleberry and says an engineering firm is working right now to figure out the best way to make it happen.
How many cell towers are there? And how many of them are owned by the city, the county, or private industry? And then what do we got to do to connect that infrastructure?
What he first thought might cost a whopping $30 million has now proved to cost even more, well over $50 million, Hinojosa says. But the city has pledged to help with that price tag, and he's working with other community groups, state and federal leaders to not only come up with the cash to do it, but hopefully this school year.
I'm not discouraged that we're not going to get this done by January. It's still a stretch goal, but right now nothing has told me it's not possible.
And if his students can sit in a parking lot outside of McDonald's just to get an education, he says they can work to stop talking and actually get this done.
Oh, it's crazy. I haven't been in this situation before, but I just hope it gets better, you know.
AT&T says it's also working to create those connections, telling us at the start of the pandemic, we provided 10,000 wireless hotspots to Dallas ISD students for distance learning, and we're eager to continue our relationship with school districts in North Texas to provide wireless and wired connectivity solutions. And companies like AT&T and Spectrum offer discounted rates for families who qualify for Head Start or the National School Lunch Program, and we've got a list of resources for you on NBCDFW.com. Just search lesson plan.
First day jitters may turn into a whole lot more this year as kids feel the anxiety and other emotional challenges tied to going back to school in an unfamiliar environment. Children's Health in Dallas will launch a new program to equip parents, teachers, and students with ways to cope.
A return to class online means a return to the emotional challenges many families have recently faced. The tantrums, the arguments with your teens, and in general, overall stress.
We have tailored our program with the new pandemic and everything that's going on.
Luckily, Children's Health had all the pieces in place before the pandemic to make a difference for families now. Last year, they launched a telebehavioral health program in school districts like Prosper ISD, where they connected students with behavioral health experts remotely. Now they are branching out, connecting with families at home, and will soon host webinars for parents, teachers, and even students on handling the stress and anxiety of online learning.
We want to really help answer questions surrounding how parents can best support their students and how they can support maybe different feelings that their students are having with all these different changes going on.
Signs of anxiety look different at different ages. Elementary school children may have tantrums or meltdowns that are out of character, changes in eating or sleep behaviors. For middle schoolers, they may be extremely irritable, maybe yelling out of anger or acting out. The older they are, the bigger the signs, according to psychologists. A major red flag to watch for in your high school students: isolation from family and friends.
If you notice that your high school student just will not come out of his or her room, they want to isolate all day long, they're also isolating from their friends, that's a really big red sign that something bigger is going on that you want to be talking with them about.
Experts suggest creating a foundation or baseline now. It should include a routine or schedule and lots of open communication with your child. And when things get tense, talk it out.
Instead of having assumptions about their feelings, just asking and creating that safe space for them to communicate is really helpful.
Still to come, a look at the push to make sure students with learning disabilities and special needs don't fall behind at home.
Instead of putting together desks, kind of like I have, to make a classroom at home, some parents decided to take do-it-yourself to a whole new level.
We can't sit around and wait. We can't. We have to make plans.
We'll go inside their one-room pandemic schoolhouse.
And the free resources every parent needs to know about. Coming up when Lesson Plan returns.
Remote learning comes with challenges for many families, but especially so for the families of the more than 500,000 Texas children with special needs or learning disorders. A Dallas mother revealed her concerns to us, and we learned about some resources that might help.
Leo is a beautiful boy.
2, 3.
At 9 years old, Leo loves dinosaurs and numbers and learning new words at school.
He's been actually trying to give me his backpack a few times.
But Mom Liliana says when school suddenly ended in the spring, so did Leo's schedule and structured environment, two things crucial to his development as a nonverbal child with Down syndrome.
Now he cannot even tolerate the plates stacking. He goes and he just says or signs that we be gentle with that because that really is bothering him.
The coronavirus pandemic has been especially disruptive for special education students. In Texas, 587,000 students with disorders, ranging from autism to ADHD, are on individualized educational plans. The TEA said in May that schools must continue supporting those learning plans as best as possible. Experts say parents will carry the load.
And so you need to be following up with with their teachers.
Clinical neuropsychologist Dr. Kenya Hamid at the Child Mind Institute suggests that parents get ahead as early as possible. Plan with your child's teacher about a week out. Do schoolwork in a separate room, if possible, free of distractions, including siblings.
They would rather play video games or watch TV. And when you're in school, you have that structured setting where you may not have those types of options.
Where are you going to put it?
Resources may depend from school to school.
Good job, Leonardo.
But parents can find online tools and tips from advocacy groups like the Learning Disabilities Association of America. Liliana says Leo's teacher has given her the most guidance and peace of mind. Her advice:
every situation is unique. So keep that open communication with the school.
As she and thousands of other families navigate a new way of education.
Now, we've heard for years that too much screen time is just not good for any of us, but can we really expect our kids to put down their video games and their phones because they maxed out on screen time during the school day?
Well, still, there is a very serious reason why we should be putting some limits in place. Cyber sickness is a real thing. All the scrolling, the typing, and lights can confuse your child's brain. Take a look at this list of symptoms: dizziness, feeling sick to their stomach or sleepy, and headaches. Now, doctors say it is important to remember that all screen time isn't equal.
One of the biggest detriments of screen time is the type of screen time that takes away from learning and from activities that engage the child's brain actively. School-based screen time is not going to have those same detriments that more leisure-based screen time will have.
What about recess? What can we do at home for recess?
Swimming, soccer, or bike ride. I got the most fish from all of you guys. I got 2 fish.
Well, those are A+ answers, and families should find ways to unplug together, swim, go fishing, or play a board game. And make sure to build breaks into their school schedule.
And what about a break for you, the parent, working a full-time job, trying to keep the household up and running and help your kid with their homework while they're at home? Some parents are saying, nope, can't do it, it's just too much. So they're getting together with their friends and creating their own tiny little one-room schoolhouse, complete with a teacher.
Show me the hidden timer.
You know this drill. We've all been there. The Wyckoff's plate might be a little more full, though.
You know, we have a 3rd grader and incoming kinder. We have 2 preschool-aged kids at home. We both work full-time.
Scotty and Darren are taking coronavirus seriously and didn't want to send their kids back to school without promises that class sizes would shrink.
We can't sit around and wait. We can't. We have to make plans. Like, we have full-time jobs and we have other preschool-aged kids at home. We have to find care for them.
They settled on something they read about, their own classroom, not at the kitchen table, but here in a conference room at Darren's office that's not getting used much these days.
You know, there are 9 families that we run pretty tight with, and so they're all anchored around our 3rd graders.
Those 9 families they run tight with will all send their kids and all learn here. A small group of students who run in the same circle scattered about this room.
We're all going to agree up front that we're going to take social distancing seriously, and we're going to continue to maintain this because we're now one group. We're now one community in this process.
The students will all stay enrolled in their typical school using remote learning, but with a teacher, not on their own.
And how do you facilitate an online environment, a completely self-directed, self-guided environment for a child that can't read? Yeah, it's true. It's unrealistic.
And so their daughter Charlotte, her younger siblings, and friends will all call this room school.
I think it will be kind of the same, but different.
Math and reading are both her favorites, and more time learning at the kitchen table just wasn't going to cut it.
By the time they're 8, 9, 10 years old, they're going to start to fall behind. And we know the system, they will continue to be behind, and I'm just not ready to take that risk.
Scotty and Darren have been sifting through resumes to hire a teacher, hoping with teachers resigning over COVID or retiring, they'll be able to find someone. And if hiring a teacher sounds out of your budget, Scotty and Darren say it may be time for you to do a little math.
$250 to $300 per child per month.
A $45,000 teacher salary split 16 ways across all those families, and it's not totally out there for many middle-class families with two working parents. Darren and Scotty think it's a movement that will catch on.
It is a thing, and it's like kind of the reinvention of the one-room schoolhouse where you have multiple different ages with smaller groups. So we started looking at that and thought, we can make this work.
Community centers are setting up smaller classrooms. Some are calling learning pods. AB Christian Learning Center wants to serve as many at-risk students as it can in Fort Worth, providing a place and support for online learning free of charge.
For us, it's those students at risk of academic failure for whatever reasons, for economics reasons, for broken homes, for poverty, children of color particularly.
The Jewish Community Center in Dallas is creating its own program. It carries a fee, but also offers other benefits.
In the virtual support track, the children bring their devices, their work, their school supplies, and we will support them virtually getting through their day.
Find more on both of these programs, as well as similar options in other cities and counties, at NBCDFW.com.
Well, what's better than a fun way to supplement your child's virtual learning? How about fun and free? The help from unexpected places in the next part of our lesson plan. Well, parents are looking for ways to keep their kids engaged, and a lot of websites offer free tools to help.
Laura Harris did some homework on what's out there. Hey, Laura.
Wayne and Bianca, just like you were just saying, listen, there are some really cool options out there. And the best part, they're my favorite price of free. You may have heard of TED Talks, the popular video series where you can hear a lecture on just about anything. Well, they also offer a TED Ed newsletter with free lessons for students of all ages on pretty much every school subject. How about when you want to give your kids' eyes a break, but you still want to keep their brains engaged? Audible has created a section with hundreds of audiobooks at no cost, even popular titles like Harry Potter or Winnie the Pooh. And you know Dyson? Yeah, the same people who make the vacuums. Well, they're encouraging kids with STEM right now. They are actually doing science and engineering challenges. These are some seriously awesome experiments that may have moms and dads volunteering to be the lab assistant. So guys, you can find links to these free resources and so much more. Just go to our website, search lesson plans at NBCDFW.com.
We know the school year is going to look a lot different, but we are in this with you. We have all the information on all of the resources mentioned tonight on NBCDFW.com. Just search lesson plan.
And we both brought some friends here with us, and we want to hear how virtual learning is going, not just in our household, but in yours as well. Send photos of your first day or your classroom. Ask us questions. Just email us at backtoschool@NBCDFW.com.